The House of Windsor. Keepers of a throne, guardians of tradition, symbols of a nation's continuity.
That I have found it impossible to carry the heavy burden of responsibility.
And heirs to a legacy as fragile as the crown itself.
3 cheers for His Majesty the King! Hip hip!
Their story is one of duty, love and heartache.
I, William Arthur Philip Louis.
Take thee, Catherine Elizabeth.
Take thee, Catherine Elizabeth.
To my wedded wife.
My wedded wife.
On the long walk in Windsor, 2 brothers who have barely spoken a word in the last couple of years.
Meet the key figures of the most famous family in the world and understand what makes them royal, but human all the same. Prince Harry, born on the 15th of September 1984 to Prince Charles and Princess Diana, entered the world as the younger of 2 sons.
When they were growing up, William and Harry's relationship was incredibly close. The 2 of them really needed one another. They had, an unhappy home environment. They were, luckily they did have nannies, and they were therefore kept away from quite a lot of the acrimony that was going on between their parents. But nonetheless, children pick up on things. They're very sensitive.
While Prince William was the heir, Harry was the spare, a role that would come to define much of his early life. From the beginning, Harry's upbringing was shaped by 2 opposing forces, the structure of royal duty and Diana's determination to give her sons a childhood grounded in reality. Trips to theme parks, visits to shelters, and hands-on experiences were part of her parenting, trying to show her boys the world beyond the palace walls.
William, although he looks like his mother, is more like his father. He's studious, he's very careful, he's very respectful, he's duty-bound. Harry, on the other hand, is a hybrid of the Spencers' red hair and the Windsors, but he has his mother's naughty streak. Harry is the fun guy. Harry was always the boy that would take apart the television set. The video recorder, he would have in bits and want then to put it back together again. Harry was always the soldier, William was always the general.
To anyone in the know, it was very obvious that the Wales's marriage was in real trouble by the late 80s. Inevitably, the announcement was made by the then Prime Minister, John Major, that Diana and Charles were going to separate. Now, Diana knew that this was going to ricochet, and she made sure that the first people who found out that they were going to separate were William and Harry, and she actually made the drive to Ludgrove School herself to go and tell them. And Harry took it very badly, of course, being younger than William. He was incredibly upset. William was very stoic and said to his mother, well, if you're going to be happier, Mummy, then this is the right thing to do.
Although Harry's early childhood had its ups and downs, his close relationship with his mother warmed the nation's hearts. But that sense of warmth and security came to a sudden, tragic end.
Diana, Princess of Wales, has been seriously injured in a car accident in Paris. Her companion, the Harrods heir Dodi Al-Fayed, has been killed. The driver of the princess's car is also understood to be dead. The accident happened at just after midnight in the west of the city.
In August 1997, Princess Diana died in a car crash in Paris. Harry was just 12.
Well, the news of Diana's death was hugely shocking. I remember tuning into the news first thing in the morning. My mother came in and said, Princess Diana's dead. And, just absolute disbelief. We just, none of us could believe that this wonderful woman had died. The boys were told early in the morning before they would have had a chance to have turned the news on. It was Charles who broke the news because William and Harry were at Balmoral. The Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh were also in residence, and Charles had received a call from his private secretary very late in the night to say that Diana had been involved in a serious accident in a tunnel in Paris, and that he would be posted, which he duly was, and he was informed that she had died, and so the duty of telling his sons fell to him, and it was a truly awful time for Charles, the realisation that his estranged wife had died, that he was going to have to raise his sons as a sole parent, and in the immediate future, how on earth was he going to break this unimaginably awful, tragic news to his sons? But he did, to William first and to Harry afterwards, and they did that together. William said to Charles, "I need to be there when you tell Harry," and he was.
You know, I remember the day William and Harry came back to Kensington Palace after their mother died. I remember standing in the hallway and William walked in and shook my hand and asked me if I was all right. I said, I'm fine, thank you. Harry ran down the corridor, flung his arms around me and broke his heart. I still remember his tears wet my shirt through. He was broken-hearted.
The image of him walking behind her coffin, alongside his father, brother, and grandfather, became an iconic moment of royal mourning. But behind the formality was a boy in deep shock.
I think certainly, without a doubt, for the boys, the hardest public duty, because it was so public for them, that they would ever have had to have carried out. And they were both so young, and the enormity of what had happened, the grief that they were coping with, I'm sure hadn't settled in by that point. But I think hearts broke around the world. People watched that funeral all over the globe when they saw the coffin passing and that little envelope on the top with a wreath of flowers with the word mummy, which had been handwritten by Harry.
Harry later admitted he struggled to express grief for years. He locked his emotions away, trying to carry on under the gaze of the public. The loss of his mother at such a young age shaped everything that followed. As a teenager and young adult, Harry earned a reputation as the royal wild child. While attending Eton College, he was often in the press for underage drinking and smoking cannabis. His behaviour frustrated palace staff and delighted tabloids, but beneath the headlines was a young man struggling with grief, identity, and life in a goldfish bowl. Yet even during this time, glimpses of a more thoughtful Harry appeared. In his gap year, he travelled to Lesotho, working with children affected by HIV/AIDS. The trip had a lasting impact and would become the start of his future charity work. In 2005, Harry joined the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst. Harry went on to serve 2 tours in Afghanistan. In 2007, he worked as a forward air controller. He returned in 2012 as an Apache helicopter pilot.
It is. I've always had a love for helicopters. I've always wanted to be a pilot, mainly of helicopters more than fixed wing, even though I'm slightly under the impression that fixed wing is probably easier than helicopters, especially as these things aren't designed to fly. But I'm really enjoying it, and you know, as everyone knows, it is my easiest way of getting back onto the front line. And maybe safer, maybe not safer, I don't know. But there's a bit of pressure from certain places, which I'm sure you're aware of the reasons why I'm allowed to go back. And if I do go back, then apparently I can't do the same job as I had. So I'm looking somewhere different and more of a challenge to try and become a helicopter pilot.
So was it made pretty clear to you after the last time in Afghanistan that it would be your first and last time, that it was too risky for you to go back as a soldier?
More the fact that I think the media had said that they would never keep their mouths shut if I went and did the same job, so I'd have to do something different if I wanted to go, yes.
But you are hopeful, confident and passionate that you do get back by this means, that you get back to the front line?
Massively so, unless they stop flying helicopters out in Afghanistan soon, which hopefully they won't do. But, you know, as I said, I love flying helicopters, or I'm loving flying helicopters at the moment. I just hope that I can be better than the best. You know, that's what I always strive to be, you know, spot on. But, you know, as I said, to get out to Afghanistan again would be fantastic, and my best chance is to do it from a helicopter.
These years, by his own account, were some of the happiest and most fulfilling of his life. His time in the armed forces gave him not just discipline and focus, but a deep respect for injured servicemen and women, something that would inspire a major project later. In 2014, Harry launched the Invictus Games, a global sporting event for wounded, injured, and sick veterans. The idea came directly from his experience in the military and from seeing how sport could rebuild confidence and strength. The first games, held in London, were a huge success, and Invictus became one of Harry's proudest achievements.
I can only speak for the British public. They have basically invested in a group of individuals, a group of people, because they want to help. This is the result, as far as I'm concerned. This really is. You're going to see people that have lives have been changed by the way they've injured, and then they've been changed by the support they've had by the British public. Et voila, you have this. You have a group of individuals that are going to put on a wonderful sporting display, some of which have only had 2 months to practice.
Around this time, he also began speaking more openly about his own mental health. Alongside William and Kate, he backed the Heads Together campaign, urging people to speak up about anxiety, grief, and depression. He later revealed that he'd sought therapy to cope with the long unspoken trauma of his mother's death. For a royal, it was an unusually open and powerful admission. In 2016, Harry met Meghan Markle, an American actress and humanitarian. Their connection was quick and strong.
We were introduced actually by a mutual friend. It was through her, and then we met once and then twice, back-to-back, 2 dates in London last July.
Yes.
Beginning of July.
So they met through a mutual friend who set them up really on a blind date, and they had their first date at Soho House in London in 2016. And then, of course, you know, with Meghan living and working at the time in Toronto in Canada, where she was filming Suits, and Harry being based in London, they realised they would have to really go out their way to make time for each other very quickly. So within a few weeks of that first date, they were on holiday together in Botswana.
Well, I'm sure at the onset, both my parents and my close friends were concerned because we got very quickly swept up in a media storm that, as I shared, was not part of my life before that, but they also had never seen me so happy. And I think also once my friends, were able to really meet Harry and my mom, who we've spent a lot of time with, who was so much fun.
Your mom's amazing.
It was just, you know, it was just obvious that no matter what we were being put through, that it was just temporary and that we were going to be able to get through that. So everyone was really happy with me. He's talked to my dad a few times, hasn't been able to meet him just yet. But it's all been worth every effort.
Yeah.
Meghan, already experienced in public work and advocacy, brought a fresh perspective to royal life. But from the very start, the media was harsh. The tone of coverage toward Meghan, often racially charged, was relentless. In a rare move, Harry issued a public statement condemning the treatment she was receiving. Despite the pressure, their relationship grew.
Prince Harry had dated a lot of, a string really, of beautiful English socialites. They tended to be blonde and willowy, very great backgrounds, you know, wealthy families, went to the right schools. However, what Meghan brought to the equation was a lot of humanitarian work that Harry's ex-girlfriends just couldn't even touch with a 10-foot pole. Meghan had actually worked for the UN. She'd gone on missions and trips to support women and children in the developing world. Meghan had been a global humanitarian long before she met Prince Harry. And I think as Harry was very close to stepping into his full role as a member of the royal family, the possibility of meeting someone who was equally passionate and engaged about changing the world and helping other people was extremely attractive to Harry. I think if you watch the engagement interview that Harry and Meghan did on BBC, and they talk about their first meeting and how they instantly connected, it's apparent that, yes, there was a mutual attraction, but it went far beyond the physical. Meghan and Harry were attracted to what each other believed in and what each other wanted to do in the world.
They married in May 2018 at Windsor Castle in a ceremony watched around the world. The service blended tradition with culture, with a gospel choir, diverse guests, and a modern energy that marked a shift in the monarchy. In 2019, Meghan gave birth to their first child, Archie. But what should have been a joyful chapter became increasingly difficult behind the scenes. Media scrutiny intensified, and tensions reportedly grew between the couple and the palace.
On their new website, the Duke and Duchess published what was effectively a manifesto of how they're going to deal with the media in future. And part of it was an attack on this, and specifically British media and royal correspondents for their monopoly on royal coverage, and essentially accusing the media of making private profit from their very public lives.
They talk specifically about the Royal Rota, where British media cover royal events to be distributed around the world.
Obviously claims they feel they've been hounded by the media, etc. But in reality, there's been nothing like that.
Come on, you would say that.
No, the Royal Rota system works, I think it's given them an awful lot of, it's been going since the 1950s. And one must remember that this is an unelected institution that relies upon media, publicity, the public support for its life's blood.
In early 2020, Harry and Meghan made a dramatic decision. They would step back as senior royals. The announcement sent shockwaves through the UK and beyond. They gave up public funding, lost formal royal roles, and relocated to North America. Their goal was clear: to protect their family and mental health and to build a life outside royal constraints.
It's definitely sad for the team at Buckingham Palace. They have a superb team there who've been fiercely loyal to them. I think the assumption would have been that there would have been possibly a core number of staff who would have been retained to run some kind of operation here for them. They've decided against that. They're severing all ties. It's a really strong signal that they are off on their own now in America and Canada.
I think I can very safely say, as naive as it sounds now, having gone through this learning curve in the past year and a half, I did not have any understanding of just what it would be like. I don't think either of us did that. We both said that, even though we knew that it would be.
Yeah, I tried to warn you as much as possible, but I think both of us were totally surprised by the reaction after the first 5-6 months when we had to ourselves of what actually happened from then. So I think you can have as many conversations as you want and try and prepare as much as possible, but we were totally unprepared for what happened after that.
In 2021, Harry and Meghan sat down with Oprah Winfrey for a landmark interview. They spoke about feeling unsupported by the institution, racism in the press, and Meghan's mental health struggles during her pregnancy. Harry was honest about the rift between him and his family, particularly with his brother and father.
Was the move about getting away from the UK press, because the press is, is everywhere, or was the move because you weren't getting enough support from the firm?
It was both.
Both.
I need to do this for my family. This is not a surprise to anybody. It's really sad that it's got to this point, but I've got to do something for my own mental health, for my wife's, and for Archie's as well, because I could see where this was headed.
The interview divided public opinion but opened up wider conversations about mental health, race, and the role of the monarchy in the modern world. Later that year, their daughter Lilibet Diana was born, named after Queen Elizabeth II and Princess Diana. In 2023, Harry released his memoir, Spare. It was deeply personal. The book detailed his childhood, army life, loss of his mother, and conflicts within the royal family. Some readers praised the honesty, others felt it was too much.
Confidently sold at half price already. I think it's terrible for him to reveal his difficulties and unhappiness in public like this. I mean, maybe he thinks it helps him, but I can't see how.
I think if he were truly committed to serving other people, he wouldn't be serving his interests as he is.
To be, I suspect, an element of whinging in this book, which I think, we've kind of got the message now. And if he was to come out with some deep, dark secrets about the royal family that we don't know, I would think that would reflect very badly on him.
I think Prince Harry's comments about Afghanistan are ill-judged and potentially harmful both to him, but also to the British Army as a whole. And in the first case, I think that he's already under security threat, but specifying and spelling out so publicly that he's killed 25 Taliban, although that's nothing to be ashamed of. In fact, it's something to be proud of. It won't, it will refocus and I think probably re-energize those people who had in the past thought of taking revenge against him for doing so. So I think that's a pretty serious implication for his personal security.
But for Harry, it was about reclaiming his voice. He had spent years feeling silenced. Now he was choosing to speak.
Here we see Harry reaching out emotionally, suggesting that he wants his father and his brother back. So on that level, perhaps a scope for reconciliation, but no contrition on his part.
Amazing and surprising and fantastic if this book put that all to rest and said from now on we're going to be a family. It's quite okay for Harry and Meghan to live in America, but to come over here and be part of the family in the holidays.
Today, Prince Harry lives in California with Meghan, Archie and Lilibet. Through their Archewell Foundation, the couple focus on charity, mental health, digital well-being and community work. Harry remains heavily involved in the Invictus Games, which continue to grow each year. Though no longer a working royal, Harry hasn't left behind his commitment to service. He's simply chosen a different path. Prince Harry was born into royalty, but he chose a road few expected. He's been a soldier, a husband, a father, and a fierce advocate for mental health and social justice. He has made mistakes. He's been criticized, but he's also been honest, vulnerable, and determined to protect those he loves. His journey has taken him far from palace walls, but in many ways, it's brought him closer to the values his mother lived by. Compassion, courage, and truth. His story is still being written.